Well, hello, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, November the 25th, 2025. What can I say, y'all? I'm gonna start with the obvious. What happened? Willow moves back in, all apprehensive about being back in this place where you were shot. I haven't been back in this place since, and he looks, before I was shot. Oh, yeah, yeah. Throw those words in her mouth, Drew, because you know she shot you. Yeah, I just don't feel safe. How can you handle living here? He said, well, I know you didn't do it. I know Michael shot me twice, and he still couldn't keep me down. And she just looked. Now, here's the thing. How do you hatch a plan with your beloved to frame her ex-husband, saying you're gonna suddenly remember Michael shot you? You're gonna say that. Now to that becoming fact? On what alternate universe could he look her, of all people, in the face and say, Michael tried to keep me down and he failed. And she's just looking, Michael and his father, Sonny, they're so powerful. They own every inch, pretty much, of this town. Again, what alternate universe does Michael and Sonny have that much power that they control the police, the hospital, the court system, the weather, the lights? I just said, oh my goodness. But guess what, chick? You're power thirsty. You were just like, oh, Drew reached across an ocean for me. That's the kind of power he has. Okay, you love power. You should be over the moon with Michael. And what Drew had to pull tooth and nail. Or are you trying to say, Willow, you don't want to come back here, or you don't want to be with me anymore? Not once did did Willow say, I love you. And you are the man I want to spend the rest of my life with. Not once did she say that, but he was doing all of that. All of that. I love you, Willow, unless you don't love me anymore. And you know what, everybody? I honestly can't remember. I honestly think she evaded. She never answered. And he didn't care. He said, you are what keeps me going. And what killed me was when they showed the living room, she walked in with her suitcase. She looked across at the mantel and the fireplace, and there was that one picture of her and Drew. There's not a picture of Scout at all on that mantel. Now, everybody, we know our kids in school, grades, kindergarten to 12th grade, every single year, at least they get a doggone school picture. You mean to tell me he don't even have his daughter's school picture on that mantle? Looking at that, you would never tell a child lived in that house. That is just unbelievable. I want to make this the home for you and Scout and Wiley and Amelia. I love them. Just like I know you love Scout too, right? Oh, yes, yes. And I know how much you care for Amelia and Wiley. So much so that every time you see Wiley, you traumatize him. Hmm. I know that. I just shook my head. This was supposed to have been such a loving home for all of them. There's not even a picture of when they all lived there together for that brief time. Not even a pic. He can't even say, see that right there? That's what I want to get back to, Willow. We were so happy. Nothing. So he tells her, but I love you so much. And that's why he gets down with his cane, gets down on one knee, opens up the ring case. I would like you to marry me all over, again, or marry me this time. She looked down at the ring, and what she said is, Drew, but that's, and they went to another scene, right? I'm thinking she's going to say, Drew, but that's Michael's engagement ring he gave to me. Lila's ring. When he asked her to marry him the first time and they were engaged, she wasn't wearing Lila's ring. Or was she, everybody? I need Comment Corner to help me on that. The first time, was she wearing Lila's ring as the engagement ring? Drew had it, but did she have the audacity to wear it? Because I think Michael would have reacted to that. So, anyway, when the scene comes back to her, she doesn't say, but that's Lila's ring. And even if she did wear it the last time, she would say, but you know what? That engagement ring didn't bring us any luck. Let's get something fresh. Something that I wasn't married in before that ended in disaster. Because it shows you how much I cherished that ring before I had an affair with you wearing that ring. So you want to try it again? Now, what I was surprised as Drew was on his knee professing his love that he didn't say, and you want to know what, Willow? No, no. Him get up and he goes, Willow, this makes sense because if you marry me this time, do you know what statement that makes? That sends a message that we're a strong couple and we're in love. And I will be right beside you at that trial. You know what kind of statement that would make. And she turns away and she goes, well, that would say something if I'm married to the person I'm accused of shooting. He goes, yes, I'm telling you, Willow, that will get you acquitted. You see, you hear him making all these promises. And then we will be able to go into that custody hearing and get your kids back, Willow. But Willow, for the wedding, just for just for we could do anything we want. Willow, do you still have your wedding dress that you got married to Michael in? What a statement that would make. That you're gonna wear that beautiful dress when you would marry me, showing second time around, and this is gonna do it, Willow. Boy, that would just put a knife in Michael's heart. Yeah, Drew. You're right, I still have it and it still fits. He didn't say that part about the wedding dress, y'all. I made that up. And I can't laugh too much because I'll start coughing. But to me, he might as well suggest she wears the wedding dress that she wore when he married Michael. She married Michael. He wanted her to wear the same ooh, wrong finger almost. Wanted her to wear the same way, the same engagement ring, right? I just thought, oh my God. Then Willow, Michael's at the hospital doing his blood work. Well, at least we know Willow's not there to tamper with the test, but she will. Liz told him because he goes, he's looking around, and she goes, Willow's not here, Michael. She's out on leave until after the trial. He says, oh. She goes, so you don't have to worry. Or did you want to speak with her? He goes, no, right? And then Elizabeth does her, you know, he goes, something about, he thanks her. He says, Liz, you taking in Willow shows what kind of heart you have and the compassion you will show your friends. And she's like shocked at things that Michael's saying, right? And she goes, no, you know, um, but I just do what I can to help Willow. And he said something, and she goes, no, Willow does not live with me, live in my house anymore. She moved out. I forget how that part of the conversation came up. And he goes, she moved out? He goes, yeah, she moved back in with Drew. Because Michael was saying, because she said, maybe you could give her a better alternative to getting her kids back if you would let her see them. And he just looked and something she said. And then it came up that she moved back with Drew. And he said, see, Willow doesn't make good decisions. Look, like this thing now, she moved back in with Drew. And Michael said, next thing, what Drew is going to, and Liz says, this is all Drew, though. I mean, it's mainly Drew's suggestion. But she says, I have to say, with Willow, I guess she loves him. The heart wants what the heart wants. And Michael says, and I understand that. He says, and what Willow's heart wants has nothing to do with the best interest of my children. That's what I have a problem with. He says, the whole time I was trying to recover, you know, it was lonely in Germany. He said, the only contact I had with my kids, Christina arranged those calls. Or whenever my mom had the kids or could see the kids, because they didn't give Carly access to those kids when Willow had moved out and all that. She did, right? He says, that was it. Willow herself never arranged for one phone call to keep my kids connected to me, thinking about them. Never. He says, so no, I can't make arrangements for Willow to see them, especially somebody who's going to be on trial for attempted murder. You know, the way he says that is another reason why I feel Michael saw her, right? Because otherwise, how would he know? The police, all he could know is I didn't do it. Could be her. It's what the police have. I just know I didn't do it. Well, he knows he didn't do it, but I think he knows she did. And he knows she's a danger. Now, Michael, it's hard to tell which way he goes with things, right? holding things to the vest. So anyway, he goes to get he and Elizabeth, they don't disagree, but he says, I'm surprised that you're talking to me this much. She goes, why? He goes, because I would feel that you would have to pick a side. And Elizabeth said, oh, I'm in Switzerland out here. I pick no sides. And he goes, oh, that's good to hear. She's like, oh, I ain't picking no sides. Because Elizabeth knows Willow is irrational. She knows that, right? So Michael goes off. The next scene we see Willow coming up off the elevator in her coat. Except that's not the coat she shot Drew in because it was shorter. It was, more thigh length, not knee length. But it was, whatever. So she says, hi, Elizabeth. And she's in that innocent voice. Elizabeth, do you have plans for Thanksgiving? And she goes, well, no, Cam and Jake are not coming back home. And Aiden is actually going to spend Thanksgiving with his father, Lucky. I haven't really thought about Thanksgiving. And Michael's coming around the corridor, right? But he sees them talking, so he stops and he kind of steps back. And she goes, I want to invite you to Drew's. Now, mind you, she didn't say me and Drew's house because she's moved back in. I want to invite you to Drew's. Will you be my maid of honor? And Elizabeth looks and Michael looks and she puts the ring out in front of Elizabeth. Michael can see the ring. That's the same doggone ring. And actually, that's my ring, chick. You got on your finger. That ring was given to me to put on your finger. And he looks, and Elizabeth's like, of course I'd be your maid of honor. And they hug. And Michael is just looking. Now, you see that picture on the bottom right, everybody? Can you tell what he's thinking? I mean, you can tell he ain't happy. But Michael, you can't tell what he's thinking. And he's just looking. And I'm thinking, don't blow up. Just act like you don't even notice the ring and do your own doggone thing. Right? We'll see what Michael's going to do tomorrow. We shall see. And I hope he does nothing. But she just, here. And I'm surprised Elizabeth didn't look at the ring and say, isn't that your old ring? Which is why I'm wondering, everybody, am I just forgetting she wore Lila's ring the first time around too? Why didn't Carly or Tracy or anybody mention that you're wearing the wedding ring, the engagement ring Michael gave you? That's why I'm thinking she didn't wear it the first time. Let me know. I mean, I don't care enough to try to find an old episode to see what ring she wore as an engagement ring. But if any of you remember, comment corner, let me know. Now, let's go on to the other topic. Liesel's back. She met with Nina and wanted Nina to use Crimson, excuse me, to write an article on how unjustly Rocco is being detained in a juvenile detention center on an angle of it's the police's fault. And Nina's like, I can't write something like that in Crimson, Aunt Liesel. So then they end up playing the blame game, you know. um, Willow is saying, I mean, Nina is saying, hold on for a second. They end up talking about Willow, and she tells Liesel, you're the one that gave me the information, making me think Willow had something to do with messing with Sasha and her baby. And Liesel said, oh, and I still believe that. Oh, yeah, she did. And Nina just looks at her. Well, she did or she didn't, whatever. And she goes, but you're the one that made your daughter's case worse by giving her a false alibi. I mean, it was just back and forth, which really meant nothing. Drew ends up, no, Ava comes because she leaves with Sidwell's place. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Ava ends up coming and sitting down, joining the two, and she's talking. They're talking. And she mentions that, tells Liesel, your daughter just interrupted a business meeting I had. And she goes, really, my Britta? She says, yeah, I was with a client and she barged in and insisted she talk to him, and I was trying to make a hefty art sale. And so Nina says, well, what client was that? And Nina said, Jen Sidwell. And Lisa said, I've heard that name. Wonder why would Britta be going to see him? And Ava says, she's probably there to go see him. Um, no, yeah, was it Nina? Yeah, about Rocco. Or maybe that was Nina that said that. That Rocco is in a, locked up, and maybe she knows Jen Sidwell is a very powerful man in Port Charles. And Ava says, yeah, in a very short time, he has come in and made a presence. So she goes, maybe she went to him for some help. So Liesel's just looking, and I thought, okay, here we go. We're getting ready to introduce Liesel and slowly inject Liesel into that situation. Good. Finally, let's put lethal Liesel in to help Britt, right? So anyway, I love that. But as they're talking, Drew just comes in and sits down. He says, ladies, I want to invite you. And he says, Nina, and Liesel looks at her. He didn't exclude Ava, but didn't include Ava because Ava is irrelevant to the scenario. She goes, Nina, I want to invite you all, over to my house for Thanksgiving. Nina's like, why would I want to come to your house for Thanksgiving? Trust me, Nina, you're gonna want to be there. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss the dessert. And she's just looking at him. He got to trick some people to witness this. Seriously. Because it's going to be nobody. They're going to do it at his house. And it's just going to be Nina. And I don't know if Ava decides she don't have nothing else to do. But Thanksgiving, she has Avery, right? Or at least she should have Avery. Because I can guarantee Sonny going to have little Donna. And it's going to be interesting that he doesn't even have Avery. He's going to have Donna, but no Avery. So anyway, they left that scene there, and I thought, what a ridiculous person. But you want to know what they didn't show everybody? No tenderness or love between Nina and Drew. None of that. There was no hugging. Did she hug him? No, I really don't think she did. There was definitely no kissing, no none of that, right? Because she says, I don't know, Drew. The last two times that I got married was for tactical reasons, you know, and this is the same. You'd be doing it to show strength, for my court case, and then to help me with my custody hearing, which is not a custody hearing, it's a visitation hearing. And she goes, I want it to be for love. And he goes, it is for love. I think this is when he goes, I love you, Willow. Don't you love me? I don't know that she even said it. I seriously don't even know. Because it took all my strength to watch their whole scene together because I can't stand watching those two together. Okay, so now let me switch to what else is happening. Now, Britt goes to see Rocco, and the guard comes in and brings Rocco. She looks at him and he sits down. She goes, what? happened to him? Rocco says, really, it's not. It's not bad. It's not as bad as it looks. She goes, oh, it is as bad as it looks. She looks up at him. She says, you let in detainees walk around with open wounds like this? And he goes, what are you talking about? It's just a little scratch. Just a little bump. She goes, you get me a first aid kit right now. She goes, I'm a doctor. You get me a first aid kit right this minute. And if any of these wounds are infected, you're getting a lawsuit. So he goes, he gets the first aid kit, and Britt kind of antiseptics him up. And she goes, who did this? Was this a guard? He goes, no, it was another teen. He says, but the guards pretty much let it happen. He goes, they finally intervened. He goes, but I'm okay. She goes, you're not okay. He says, Britt, I have something to say. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be nice to me. I stole the key fob out of your purse. I deceived you. I'm sorry. And she looked at him and she goes, that's not important right now. As she's cleaning him up, right? And he's flinching because of the antiseptic. But anyway, she gets up. She goes, Rocco, I'm going to get you out of here. And that's when she goes to Windermere. Ava's trying to get Sidwell to come and look at some of this artist paintings that she got in. They're supposed to be the it thing. And he just said, I'm in a funk right now. And he's being dramatic the way he's always dramatic. And she goes, oh, yeah, your measure C. Yeah, you didn't get your. He goes, do you know any other peers for sale? Well, shouldn't you be talking to Lucy Coe? Because Jason and Sonny just bought some piers on the Jersey side of the water. You should have been looking there too, Sidwell, right? You should have been looking too. You could have got those piers. So anyway, Britt comes in and says, I need to see you. And he looks at her, he goes, I am in a meeting. So Britt is like, well, I need to see you right now. And unless you want me to start talking in front of her, she looked at Ava, you need to leave. And said, well, what? Looks at Ava, I'm so sorry. She is rudely interrupting, but I do need to talk to her. And Ava says, okay. So she goes, well, come by the gallery and I'll show you the painting. He goes, I will. She walks out. He shuts the door. He turns around. He says, you are in the habit. This is the second time you have come in here ranting in front of someone I'm having a meeting to. She goes, I don't care. And he looked at her. He said, after you saw what happened to Dalton, you know what could be your fate. And she says, you know what? I am the only person that can finish my father's work. So if you kill me, the precious project will not be complete. And he just looks at her. He goes, what do you want? She goes, I want you to make good on helping Rocco get out of there. He has been assaulted and it's not safe for him in there. He looks at her and he goes, yes, I did hear he's in a juvenile facility. Yeah, things can happen in facilities. He says, especially when you're the grandson of the mayor who would not do business with me, and the grandson of Sonny Corinthos, mob boss, who wouldn't sell me his peers. And Britt looked at him. She says, "Oh my God, you had Rocco beaten up." And he just looks at her like messages have to be sent. See, this is also where Sidwell screws up. Now you see, he reached out and he had one of Sonny's family hurt. So you want to know what Sonny needs to do? Marco, on his way to his car, some thugs, some random thugs, need to hit him in the nose, bust it, hit him in the lip, busted, bleeding, and punch him in the eye. That's it. Don't kick him, break ribs, don't abduct him. But the same thing that was done to Rocco needs to be done to Marco. Because you want to know what message that sends to Sidwell? Anything you do to any one of my family, you only got one kid, one family member, and that's Marco, is going to happen to your family, Sidwell. Sonny needs to send that message. Have that message sent to Marco. And not by Jason, just by some randos. Bring somebody from the island, right? So you can easily tell Sidwell, I don't know what you're talking about. Because if it was Jason, they would know. No, no. See, just like Sidwell saying, juvenile detention centers are dangerous places. Oh, yeah. But he told Britt, oh, my reach is big. Mm-hmm. That's what I would love to see. 100%. That's exact. And now Britt is thinking, oh my God, I've got to, you got to bring your mama in. And now that we know her mama is on the scene, good. So now we've got Alexis and Laura opened the door for Alexis and Jason. They brought Danny over. Alexis is going to depose the kids. Um, Laura opens the door. She says, Lulu wanted me to let you in. Charlotte had to take a test at school this morning. Lulu's bringing her back right now. So they sit down or they walk in. Lulu walks up with Charlotte. She says, it looks like everybody's here by the cars. We're going to go in, Charlotte. You're going to tell the truth because it's going to be on the statement. I know, Mom. I know. As they're walking in, Nathan walks up. He says, Lulu, I need to talk to you. So she looks at him. She goes, Charlotte, go in the house. I'll be right behind you. So she goes, what? I mean, the deposition of Charlotte and Rocco is happening. I mean, Charlotte and Daddy's happening right now. I got to get in there. He goes, no, this is about Rocco. And you need to come with me. So she looks at him. She takes off. But I guess she tells Laura, right? She takes off with Nathan. She gets there and she said she didn't cross paths with Britt. Britt had just left. She gets in there, she sees him, and she says, Rocco, what happened? He goes, Mom, it looks worse than it is. He keeps telling everybody that. She goes, I thought you said he was safe in here, Nathan, or protected. He goes, he should have been, but obviously it's not. And so, because they're walking, they're not sitting with Rocco talking. And she says, what can I do? I mean, I can't leave him. He goes, why do you think this happened? Do you think it was because of his father? She goes, his father, Sonny, or both? Rocco's a target in here. So she says, what can but what can I gotta do something. I gotta do something. He goes, wait, I'll do something. He walks over to the guard. He says, I'm taking Rocco Falconeri into custody with me. Because obvious he's not safe in here. I'm taking him back to the PCPD. If your superiors have a problem with it, you could call ADA Turner. He takes Rocco, and Lulu's like, oh, can't you get in trouble for this? And she says this at the, I think she said it at the precinct. She said it at the precinct, right? And so, but before she says that, so they take Rocco. Now, Sonny is in there. Oh, he went down on Justine. Told her, oh no, you're going to get my grandson out of here. You know he shouldn't have been in here. You know Dalton ran and gave you some false uh, evidence in the ninth hour because she was talking to a police officer. And Sonny just walks in saying, you know what? I need to speak to 88 Turner now. And she goes, Mr. Corinthos, I'm in a meeting. He goes, well, the meeting needs to be over because I need to speak to you. So she tells the officer to leave, and the officer kind of walks by. She knows who Sonny is, but it's an officer we don't know, but everybody knows Sonny Corinthos. And Justine says, you are out of line, Mr. Corinthos. She says, you cannot come in here and make demands on me. Do you know how that looks? He goes, I don't care how it looks. I just left my grandson and he was assaulted. She goes, wait, what? Yes. He needs to get out of there now, and you need to make it happen. And she says, you know what? For one thing, you don't make demands on me, period. I don't work for you, and I don't do what you tell me because you tell me to do it. If I get evidence and I need to take you down, that's exactly what I'm gonna do, no matter what you say. So she says, she says, but she tells him about Dalton being a no-show. She tells Sonny, I mean, goodness, she just telling Sonny everything. That, now that they cannot reach him at all, that she's going to, petition that his evidence be ruled inadmissible. She goes, because it won't hold up. It is definite holes. It definitely does not show Rocco did any of that as far as the evidence, the forensics. So he goes, but he needs to come out now. So she says, I will see what I can do. Right? So she goes, and that's when Nathan brings Rocco and Sonny sees him. And he goes, Rocco, and he hugs him. And he goes, he's here. I mean, what are you doing here? Lulu said, Nathan brought him. And Sonny says, can I talk to my grandson in the interrogation room? Nathan said he's going to be in the interrogation room until, we try to get a bail hearing for him. So, or a charges drop. So anyway, he says, yes, you could take him in the interrogation room. And that's when Lulu said, can you get in trouble for this? He goes, maybe, but it's more important that Rocco is safe. And Lulu's like, Nathan, I don't know what I would do without you. I said, uh-oh, I see it. I know exactly what they're going to do, y'all. Lulu is going to end up falling for her best friend's husband, or who she thinks is Nathan. I mean, part of that's Nathan, but we'll find out what the real deal is. But he's not dead. He and Maxie will still be married, right? So anyway, I see it. And you know what? Whatever. That's going to be another little triangle. going on there. And Lulu will justify why that's right. So anyway, ADA Turner comes into the interrogation room where Sonny and Rocco are talking, and she sees his face, but his face is cleaned up. Now it just looks like, but you could tell black eye, you could tell whatever. And Sonny looks at her and she looks at Rocco and she says, I was able to get an emergency hearing and it's going to be in a few hours tonight. She says, and Rocco, you will be sleeping in your own bed tonight. And Sonny just looks at her. She looks at Sonny and he looks at Rocco. And Rocco smiles. I think they're actually going to drop those charges altogether because it's going to go. And no, she did. She said the original plea deal is going to go into effect, right? So now we have Alexis deposing Danny and Charlotte. And they had the nerve to say, and Dalton punched Rocco in the stomach. And Alexis looks at him and said, see, Charlotte should have told the story. Danny is not a whatever, right? Alexis says, for one thing, Danny, you never mentioned that to me when you talked to me. Charlotte says, well, that's exactly what happened. And we didn't mention it before because we were embarrassed. And Alexis looks at her and says, Rocco never mentioned that he was punched in the stomach. And Charlotte says, maybe Rocco was embarrassed too. And Alexis looks at them and she says, and this is what, and Laura is looking like, doggone well. I talked to my grandson. She saw Rocco when Dalton had him by the collar. Rocco would have said, he hit me in the, the cameras were rolling. So Alexis is looking. Alexis is looking, Laura's looking. Drew looked at Danny, and Danny put his eyes down. He couldn't stand his father's glare there, right? And it wasn't a mean glare, it was a you lying, right? So Alexis says, so you do know this would be an official statement under oath. We know. Uh, okay. I need to speak to you. She's talking to Laura, and I need to speak to you outside. So they go outside, and Charlotte is looking at Danny. Danny says, did you see the way my dad was looking at me? It's like he could read into my mind, right? Well, Charlotte said, so what if he could? It's our statement, you know? Long as the jury believes us, that's all that matters. And Danny just looks. So Alexis gets them outside. She turns to them. She says, you know they're both lying, don't you? And Laura says, yep. And Jason says, oh, absolutely. She says, there is no way I'm going to let them go with that statement. She said, because they will not stand up against official scrutiny with that. On top of the fact, Rocco never said that happened to him. And Jason and Laura are like, oh, we know. So she says, but I am going to definitely wait because I want Lulu to know just what her daughter is up to and the lies she wants to tell. And so Jason said, I understand. So Alexis goes back in. And Jason looks at Laura and he goes, I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to do whatever it takes to get Rocco out, but they don't understand how that could backfire and make things worse and get them in trouble. And Laura says, and Dalton, something she said about Dalton. And Jason looked at her, he goes, Laura, there is no Dalton. And she looked up, she looked at him like, oh, I wasn't supposed to say his name. He goes, no, there is no more Dalton. And she's kind of like, oh, meaning, look, what I did to that body ain't no Dalton, but we ain't going into that, right? I know how to do my job and do it well. So Alexis goes back into the two. And she says, okay, I'm just gonna tell you right, you guys right, you two right now. You're lying. I know you're lying. She's looking at Danny. Your father knows you're lying. And she looks at uh Charlotte. And your grandmother knows you're lying. No, we supposed to go, no, no. She says, and you would never stand up under scrutiny. And then you two could be facing obstruction of justice charges. I want you two to understand that. There is no way I am going to allow that lie to be entered in as evidence. I'm telling you both that now. And they just look at her like, oh, yeah, no, it's not happening. Because she's looking at Danny like, you my flesh and blood. There is no way I'm going to let you go down like that. Right? No. And so they all don't know. Pretty much Rocco's gonna be coming home with Lulu. But I think what they're doing, especially with Laura gonna be telling Lulu what, the links that they're gonna go and Charlotte and blah blah blah. We're paving the way for Helena Jr. to be really getting either herself in a lot of trouble or Danny and Rocco with her. Danny needs to know at this point, and Rocco too. Don't go along with Charlotte and her ideas. I can see Rocco more than Danny because that's Rocco's sister. Charlotte's not related to Rocco, Danny. I mean, Danny's not related to Charlotte. And I think Jason's gonna really kind of put a firmer foot on Danny's neck about getting into these kinds of things, right? Let's hope he does. So that was pretty good. Good. I'm happy they didn't let it get as far as them getting up on the stand and just lying, perjuring themselves, right? So really there's not even going to be a vandalism trial. That's not going to happen. Good. We don't need to see it and we don't need to we have time wasted. So that is it, everybody. That is it. I was very happy. We only have one more episode this week, and that's tomorrow of General Hospital. It's going to be off for the 2 days and back on Monday. So I will be back tomorrow with another daily recap of General Hospital. I'm not going to do Comment Corner. As you all can see, I'm still breaking into the coffee. I've been pausing the video, coughing, coming back. But anyway, you all are doing a phenomenal job. I've been loving reading those comments and going back and forth. So keep it up. Oh, excuse me, I forgot to say, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank y'all. See y'all tomorrow.